Over the years, marketers have been analyzing the different generations, baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, and recently we have seen there's a red thread among all of them: speed. They all want everything to happen now. My name is Francisco Serrano, and I am the Chief Speed Officer at One to One and the host of the Now Gen podcast. Join me. Each episode, we talk about what's happening with brands, see how brand professionals across different industries cope with this fast-changing market, and live up to the expectation of this now generation. Welcome.
This episode is brought to you by One to One, the fastest day-to-day design, content, and digital studio. One to One has been the premier partner for many Fortune 500 companies, proving that tight deadlines shouldn't be a hassle.
Hello, and welcome again to the Now Gen podcast. Lately, I've noticed that generations across the board are having more options than before to engage into entertainment, whether it's audio or video or even, experiences. They are coming from all over the place. And today, we're going to learn what one giant for the audio entertainment industry is doing to engage that audience and satisfy their need for speed. So to do so, I have Tatiana Holifield. She's the Vice President of Digital Content and Audience Engagement for Sirius XM and Pandora. Thank you, Tatiana, to share your thoughts today in the podcast. Welcome.
Thank you, Francisco. I'm excited to be here and chat with you all today.
Excellent. So before we get started, let's do the typical. How do you end up in entertainment?
Well, I'm originally from Chicago, and growing up in Chicago, I was just a lover of television. Having a single mother that was often at work, I fell in love with TV because that was my outlet. And when I went off to college, Oprah Winfrey became my mentor in my head because Oprah got her big start at NBC in Chicago. And so, fast forward to years later, I realized that I really love the entertainment world. I really love storytelling and being able to speak to all types of audiences and tell unique stories for the culture. And so that's what led me to this role. And I'm also a people person. And so rather than being in front of the camera, I like being behind the camera, more on the creative side of bringing people together and coming up with fun ideas. And so that's where I focus my career around marketing. And right around 2010, when digital and social media really started to take off, 2009, 2010, when social media really started to take off, I realized that's where the marketing industry was headed. And so I jumped on that opportunity to lead marketing and social for some of the biggest brands, in the world.
Oh, yeah. It's impressive, your curriculum. It's experience across the board. And now that you landed in Sirius XM, you were telling me that it's a huge, I think it's the biggest company in the US, right? What are you guys doing in Sirius XM relevant for the now generation, the people? We were discussing this offline, right? All the generations have different characteristics, but everybody wants things to happen now, and then the agile thing. So what is a Sirius? I know that every time I buy a car, Sirius XM is there, right? So what are you guys doing for the Now Gen?
So as you mentioned in your introduction, Sirius XM is one of the, if not the largest audio providers of a wide breadth of content. We have music, sports, entertainment, talk, comedy, you name it, it's all on Sirius XM. I also oversee digital content and audience engagement for Pandora, which is a digital service provider that has the best music curation out there. And so when you mentioned Sirius XM being in your car and in the vehicle, that has been the foundation of our service. But as we think about this now generation, as you mentioned, consumer behaviors are continuing to change and evolve. And we see that being accelerated in a post-pandemic landscape, right? So pre-pandemic, a lot of behaviors changed in terms of maybe people weren't in their car as much or traveling as much. Production of vehicles slowed down, things like that. But yet, consumption of entertainment picked up. And so if you were a lover of podcasts or a lover of talk shows, you were looking for an outlet to get all these where you could connect with like-minded individuals around the content that you love. And so our business model continues to evolve in this digital world where we're really focused on the evolution of our brand and being able to super serve those audiences with the content that they love on the go, anywhere and anytime. And so that means when you are in the vehicle, you can listen to your favorite stations. But when you leave the car, let's say you're listening to Mad Dog Radio, or let's say you're listening to Hip Hop Nation, and all of a sudden your song comes on or a certain segment comes on and you don't want to get out the car, guess what? You can pick it up on your app and continue listening until you get into the house. And then once you're at home, you can connect it to your home device, like Alexa or other platforms like that, where you can listen, as you're maybe doing laundry or other things around the house. And so this is, my definition of when we say that now generation, us as a brand, being able to adapt and be flexible to consumer behaviors and give them the content where they want.
Okay, and currently, do you guys offer on-demand access, or is it just live? Can you fast forward? Can you choose your mix, or you're just letting everybody, you produce whatever entertainment and you have to listen through like the normal way that doing it in the past? How does that work?
Yes, we do have a lot of content on demand. So I highly recommend downloading the Sirius XM app, and you will see, and this is not a promo,
Yeah.
but you will see that that we have a lot of content on demand that you can listen to at your leisure. One of my favorite podcasts is Reality with the King, Carlos King, who is a well-known executive producer of Real Housewife franchises and other hit reality shows. I can go on my Sirius XM app and listen to all that podcast content at any time. Or we also have a ton of audio content and libraries of content from Howard Stern. Or if you are a listener of Pandora music, when I talked about that curation of content, for me, I love Pandora for several reasons. When I'm working out, I can get any type of motivational mix that I need. And the great thing about the curation is that it's programmed for my preferences. So let's say I want to listen to Afrobeats music. I type in Afrobeats in the search. It pops up maybe a great Afrobeats artist like Tim's, and it starts to play her song. I can hit the thumbs up button to tell Pandora, hey, I like this song, serve me more songs like that. And then it will continue to cycle through tons of playlists of similar and like artists. And if I don't like a song that pops up, I can hit the thumbs down button and it won't serve me more of that content. So as I mentioned, Sirius XM and Pandora has just a breadth of content that you can listen to at any time, anywhere.
No, that precisely triggers the need for the instant gratificators out there that they want, things that happen now. Do you see this instant gratification manifesting in the need for your current customers? Or I mean, do you feel that they want this instant gratification, like you were saying? Oh, I'll go to the gym and I say, oh, I want this, gym music from the 80s. And I want it now, and probably I'm not going to use you again tomorrow. And then I'm at a party and I want to say, oh, 70s, and they all want to happen at that time, and not, create your list, make it, and wait some time to make that process. Do you see that being more and more a need from your clients in the audio entertainment industry, whether it's for podcast listening or for music?
Absolutely. And I think it's not just us as Sirius XM and Pandora. I think all industries are seeing that instant gratification and need for content in real time. So whether that is live content of our daily morning shows with our extraordinary show host on Sirius XM, or if that is podcast or on-demand content, audiences just want to consume content when and where they want it. And so we continue to see, no matter the generation, what and who, those audiences continue to want content when they want it. I joke and say Burger King's slogan was way ahead of its time because everyone wants it when they want it, right? What's the Burger King slogan? What was it?
I don't know.
Have it your way.
Have it your way, yeah. And that's
Right?
kind of, you crafted, you have it your way. And the other day I was talking to a colleague, and we were saying, imagine that in the future, because we're developing ideas for innovation, certain brands, and in the music industry, I don't know if it's happening or not. Maybe you can tell us if you know something about that. But let's say that you have geolocation, you bring your phone, you have your Sirius app or Pandora, and you go and buy, let's say, Victoria's Secret, and you click with your Apple Card, and then it knows that you are that you are not a female. You go there, you buy, and then once you open Pandora, or you get a suggestion of love songs, or something that it's prompting you before you even, because it's like, okay, I knew that you bought this, and probably you either getting this or this. And is that something that you see that is happening, or that you see happening in the future?
I see that happening across the technology industry as a whole. When we think about consumer behaviors and smart machines and machine learning, technology like AI continues to read consumer behaviors in order to serve them with content that they want, as well as personalization of that content continues to be a huge part of our marketing strategies to ensure that we are allowing our content to break through the clutter and reach the key audiences at the right time.
Yeah, and that also leads me to another question I have as far as cultural storytelling in digital content. Do you think it's generalized, or do you think it's the audience dictates what brands to deliver?
Well, I think all businesses are dictated by consumer demand. And so if younger generations are demanding or listening to multicultural or global content, I think brands will continue to serve into that and lean in. If maybe Gen X continues to see a huge value in sports, brands will continue to lean into being able to provide additional experiences around sports. And if older generations continue to look for outlets for mental health or education around technology, I think brands will continue to figure out how they can serve content for those audiences as well. And so, I think as the evolution of technology continues, we as marketers will only continue to study our audiences and serve them with the content that they want.
Yeah. And learning about what they need and what they makes them click, right? I think that's kind of in every industry, you need to learn what the consumer it's wanting and needing and try to stay ahead and one step forward. Do you feel that, a big trend across the board has been influencer marketing, right? So do you think that trend it's here to stay? What do you think about that strategy?
Oh, yeah. The creator economy is definitely booming and continues to boom. But I do think that influencer marketing will continue to evolve. As I talked about the pandemic, during the pandemic, we saw the rise of a lot of influencers and creators who had time while they were at home to create a wide array of content. And at that time, they could demand prices that they want for that content. But now, as we are continuing in this post-pandemic landscape, if there is a such thing, I think that behaviors again have changed, and business models are also changing. And so creators have a different opportunity at hand right now. And it's less, in my opinion, about creating these stunty moments for them to go viral, and instead building true long-standing brand relationships where they know their audience, they serve them with the content that their audience really wants to see from them, and then them having long-standing partnerships with brands that build credibility with that audience, and being able to monetize on their content from there.
And that, do you think that will generate audience engagement? That is kind of a good way for you as a marketer to say, hey, now I can increase my engagement with the audience through this influencer marketing?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when we, as a brand marketer, I know that my KPIs changed from during the pandemic when we were looking to engage with influencers. It was all about, who are the biggest names or who have the biggest following, and, how many video views am I going to get off of the partnership? And now it's less about the biggest names or their viewership. It's more about how engaged are their audiences? Do their audiences truly match up to the audience targets that I'm looking for as a brand marketer? And then what type of sustained engagement can we have in that relationship with the influencer and their audience to continue to drive them back to our brand and become loyalists?
Okay. And once you have that that audience and it's loyal to your brand, you create content, and several brands identify with that content. And how do you, is data something important for you to content creation? So information gathering from is it very important, or you just like follow trends that are out there per se?
Absolutely. All brands, including the brand I work for, Sirius XM and Pandora, we're very focused on data. And that data is listening to
Okay.
our audience, right? Like you mentioned before, being able to really dive into their consumption habits and understand what's working and what's not, so that if we see that they're really into our sports content, we can lean in, because the data shows that, right? And serve them with more. Versus if we see that they are not into our sports content, we maybe can try other ways of serving them content that we think they may like. Now, the question around, are we using that data to really drive trends, or are we, looking at trends and just jumping on the bandwagon, is a bit of a different story, in that I think as a marketer, you try every trick in the book, so to speak, to figure out what will stick and what will work. And so there may be times where we are using the data that's made available to us, such as looking at what's trending in the news, or looking at what's trending around a certain topic on Twitter or on Reddit or platforms like that, and then being able to serve our audiences with that type of content, because we know that it's something that's relevant to them at the time. But I think relevancy is the key there, and being able to sustain your marketing strategy with not just those trendy moments of trying to go viral or jumping on trends, but serving and having that right mix of content, that it's sustained all year round, and building your cultural capital with those audiences.
And talking about building the cultural capital, do you feel that the core values from your brands are embedded in the communication? And is it important for you to find the real match between Target and your brands?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, I'm sorry. Specifically, the core values that you guys represent.
Absolutely. Our core value is really to just be the number one audio service provider, and being able to give our fans an opportunity to hear the stories and listen to the content that they want at all times. And as a company, we are, of course, it's in our DNA, based on the breadth of content that we have, to be inclusive and to be culturally relevant, and to be abreast of trends and what's happening in the moment. And so that's embedded in everything that we do as an organization.
Yeah, it's incredible how that in the long run generates audience and loyalty. Sometimes brands feel that not sticking and not having the discipline to put the brand at the center of the role, at the center of them all the values that they have, and create that core values communication base to just filter it through. It's just amazing how brands, you see that they don't have that consistency, and they just sell their message to whatever is out there, and it's not, doesn't make sense to the core. It's just amazing sometimes. Anything that you want the audience to take away, because we've been talking a lot. One of the challenges that brands have is making sure that number one, you keep up with this now generation, with the speed that they demand, And how do you keep your brand up to the challenge? You mentioned a lot from representing Sirius XM, which is the leader in the audio entertainment in the US, and Pandora, that is, I mean, it's up there, I'm sure, right? As a marketer, what would you recommend to brands that are facing this challenge to engage with this generation that is just doesn't know boundaries and they just want now? That's it.
Yes, as you mentioned, Sirius XM and Pandora have both been leaders in this audio space of providing content for many, many years. And our audiences know that we are a trusted name of content where they can come to our brand, listen to our audio, and hear the voices that are reflective of them. If you're into sports, like I mentioned, maybe you love Adam Shine's show and you listen to the Let's Go podcast with Tom Brady and Larry Fitzgerald. Or if you are a fan of music culture and hip hop, you come to us for Sway's Universe and Sway in the Mornings. We have a breadth of content for every single audience, whether it's Gen X, Gen Z, Millennial, Zillennial, whatever name you have, including parents content and kids content. And so, I think that we as a entity of brands will continue to leverage the insight that we have into what our audience is looking for, continue to lean into our value propositions and align our mission and DNA around the content that our audiences want.
Okay, so understand what the client wants, align your core proposition and values, and the third one is I missed it.
Listen to the audiences.
Listen to the audience. Okay, so yeah, that's a cool takeaway, and I think that listeners, a leader in the industry is telling you they're following those practices, and I'm sure that you, with your brand, have some kind of following the same road together, right?
Absolutely. And I would be remiss to also not acknowledge that it also takes an amazing team of passionate people working behind the scenes tirelessly to ensure that we are providing world-class content to all of our audiences across the US and Canada.
Excellent. Thank you, Tatiana. I wanted to ask you, before we end this conversation, want to move away a little bit about the podcast interview, and I want to know, the audience would like to know, what is a personality in the marketing world like you would think of a brand? What is your top skincare brand and why? Just out of curiosity.
Well, first, I guess I've never been called a personality, but okay, I'll take it.
I mean, you are the leader of the most important brand of audio entertainment in the US. That's, in my book, it's a personality, Tatiana.
I will take that for sure. There's so many good skincare brands out there right now, but I have to give credit as a person of color to a lot of the Black owned and Black female owned skincare brands that are out there right now. And I think that it's really, really starting to become a lot more mainstream.
Yeah.
You see a lot of businesses like Sephora and others who are investing in Black skincare brands. And so, some of my favorite are Tracy Hudson Skincare.
Tracy Hudson. Okay.
Tracy Hudson. She is a well-known esthetician for celebrities and others here in Los Angeles. And then I also love Derm by Erica, who is another well-known esthetician here in Los Angeles. And then let's be honest, Fenty by Rihanna
Why not?
will always be a fan favorite amongst the girls.
Okay. Well, now you have it. That's what Tatiana wears every day. Thank you for sharing that, Tatiana. You never know, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, we need to wrap this one out. We've been talking to Tatiana Holifield, Vice President of Digital Content and Audience Engagement at Sirius XM and Pandora. Where people can reach out to you, Tatiana?
Feel free at any time to send me a message and connect with me on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn,
It is my first and last name, Tatiana Holifield. And you can also follow me on Twitter, Tatiana in Media. And of course, be sure to follow us on social media at Sirius XM, at Pandora Music, and our new sports account at Sirius XM Sports.
Oh, excellent. Well, now you know how to connect with Tatiana Holifield. If you have any questions or you want to connect, she is open to it. So thank you for that, Tatiana. And thank you all for listening to the podcast. If you want to learn more about the most relevant power brands and what are they doing with this now generation and instant gratification, do not miss the next episode. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for listening today.